In a quiet suburb of Portland, Oregon, there lived a 13-year-old boy named Alex. Unlike most boys his age, Alex was calm, observant, and always thinking. He didn't talk much, but when he did, his words carried weight. People often said he was too serious for a child, but Alex didn't mind. His sharp mind noticed things others missed, like when someone was pretending, even if they smiled and laughed like everything was perfect. Alex lived with his father, Mr. Ryan Stone, in a comfortable two-story house with a well-maintained garden. His father was a tall man in his early 40s, strong and distinguished, always dressed in crisp business attire. People respected Mr. Stone. He owned a successful construction company and had worked tirelessly to build his wealth after his wife, Alex's mother, passed away 6 years ago. Since then, it had been just the two of them, father and son, living quietly and taking care of each other. But everything changed the day Mr. Stone brought a woman home. Alex, his father announced one Saturday morning, standing proudly at the front door with a lady beside him. "Meet Sarah." Alex slowly rose from the living room couch. His eyes moved from his father to the woman who was now smiling brightly. She wore a red dress that hugged her figure tightly, and her long eyelashes fluttered as if she was trying too hard to appear innocent. "Hi, sweetheart," she said, reaching to touch his cheek. Alex stepped back slightly and gave a polite nod. "She's my fiancée," his father added with a grin. "We're getting married in 3 weeks." The room suddenly felt smaller. Alex didn't smile. He looked at his father, then at Sarah again. Something in his chest tightened. "Nice to meet you," Alex muttered, though it wasn't nice. Not even a little bit. Later that evening, Alex sat on his bed, staring at the ceiling fan spinning slowly above him. The house felt different. Sarah was in the kitchen, laughing loudly with his dad. Her voice didn't sound genuine. It was high-pitched and overly cheerful, like she was forcing every sound from her mouth. He closed his eyes, remembering the way she had looked at him. There was something behind her smile, something cold, like she didn't really care who he was, like he was just an obstacle in her path. Alex picked up his tablet and began searching for Sarah online, but nothing substantial came up. Just a few social media profiles with filtered photos and fake smiles. No real information, no old friends commenting, no family photos, just her. Why so hidden? Alex whispered to himself. He stood up, walked to the hallway, and leaned against the kitchen wall, listening. "I told you he'd warm up to you," Mr. Stone was saying. "He's a sweet boy," Sarah replied. "He just needs time." Alex rolled his eyes. That voice again, sweet and fake, like syrup over something rotten. The next day, they went out for lunch together. Alex sat quietly at the restaurant table, picking at his food while Sarah laughed at all his dad's jokes. "Oh, Ryan, you're too funny," she giggled, placing her hand gently on his arm. Alex looked up from his plate. Her eyes weren't on his dad. They were on the expensive watch he wore, staring just a little too long. "Dad," Alex said suddenly, "can I talk to you?" His father looked surprised. "Now?" "Yes. Alone." They stepped outside the restaurant. Alex waited until they were far from the windows before speaking. "Why are you marrying her?" he asked directly. His father sighed. "Alex, it's been 6 years since your mother passed. I've been alone. You've been alone. Sarah brings joy back into this house. Isn't that what we want?" Alex shook his head slowly. "No, Dad. That's not what I want. I don't trust her." "Alex, come on. She's trying." "No, Dad. She's pretending." Mr. Stone frowned. "You're just being a child." "I'm not. I can feel it. Something is wrong with her." His father walked away, frustrated. "Go back inside, Alex. I don't want to hear any more of this nonsense." For the next few days, Alex said little but watched closely. Every move Sarah made, he noticed. How she walked around the house when she thought no one was watching. How she checked his father's financial documents when he left them unattended. How she asked too many questions about property deeds and business ownership. One night, Alex couldn't sleep. He went downstairs for water, but as he walked past the guest room where Sarah was staying, he heard her voice. She was on the phone, speaking in low tones, but Alex heard enough. Once he drinks it, everything will be ours. Yes, I've already prepared it. Don't mess this up. Alex froze. He leaned closer to the door. He'll drink it at the wedding. That's the only way. After that, it's done. His hands began to shake. He stepped back quietly, heart racing. What was she planning? What was in the drink? He tiptoed back to his room, shut the door softly, and sat on his bed with wide eyes. The pieces were falling into place, and none of them formed a pretty picture. Don't miss what happens next. Like this video if you're already suspicious of Sarah, and subscribe for the next chapter where Alex uncovers even more shocking evidence. Ring that notification bell so you never miss our thrilling stories. The next morning, Alex sat across the breakfast table from Sarah. She smiled sweetly at him. You slept well? She asked. Yes, he answered, staring directly at her. She blinked once, then looked away. When his father came down for breakfast, Alex tried again. Dad, I need to talk to you, please. But Mr. Stone was already running late for work. We'll talk later, he said, kissing Sarah's forehead before rushing out. Alex felt sick to his stomach. He had to do something, but what? That evening, Alex went into his father's room while no one was around. He took his father's old smartphone and carefully placed it behind a flower vase in the living room where Sarah usually made her phone calls. He made sure the voice recorder was ready and waited. Hours passed. Then finally, just after 10 p.m., Sarah walked into the living room with her phone pressed to her ear. I told you I'm handling it, she whispered harshly. He won't suspect a thing. Once the wedding is done and he drinks it, the house, the cars, the money, everything becomes mine. Mine, not ours. Alex's eyes widened from his hiding spot at the top of the stairs. She had changed her words from the night before. She was planning to betray even her accomplice. Don't call me again at night, she continued. You'll ruin everything. Let me handle this my way. The call ended, and Alex heard her footsteps heading back to the guest room. He quietly retrieved the phone and rushed back to his room to listen to the recording. There it was, crystal clear evidence. His hands shook as he played it back. This woman wasn't just pretending to love his dad. She was planning something dangerous, potentially deadly. Alex looked at the calendar on his wall. The wedding was in 5 days. 5 days to stop something terrible from happening. The next morning, Alex didn't go downstairs immediately. He stayed in his room, thinking hard. Should he play the audio for his dad? Would Mr. Stone believe him now? But he remembered how quickly his father had dismissed him before. What if he claimed the recording was fake? What if Sarah lied and said Alex had edited it? No, Alex needed more evidence. He needed to catch her saying something even more incriminating. That evening, Alex left the recorder in the same spot. Around 11 p.m., he heard Sarah's footsteps in the hallway again. She sat in the living room and made another call. I said I've got everything under control. Why are you bothering me again? She snapped into the phone, her voice no longer soft and sweet. After a pause, Alex heard her continue. Listen, I told you he trusts me completely. After the wedding, we give him the drink, and then it's over. More silence, then her voice again, louder this time. You'll get your cut, but don't think we're sharing equally. I'm the one marrying him, not you. Alex's mouth fell open. She was planning to double-cross her partner too. Don't call me again at night, Sarah warned. One more slip-up and you'll ruin everything. The next morning, Alex retrieved the phone and listened to the new recording. Now he had 2 pieces of evidence, both crystal clear. But he decided to wait just a bit longer. The closer the wedding got, the more confident Sarah would become, and the more likely she'd be to make a mistake. That afternoon, his father called him into his office. Alex, Mr. Stone said, folding his arms. "I feel like you've been avoiding Sarah. What's going on?" Alex stood still, his heart beating faster. "She's been trying to be nice to you," his father continued. "But you're always quiet and cold. You barely even greet her anymore." Alex looked up. "Can I ask you a question, Dad?" Mr. Stone frowned slightly. "Go ahead. If Mom was still alive, do you think she would like Sarah?" There was a long pause. Mr. Stone leaned back in his chair. "Alex, your mom has been gone for years. She would want me to be happy. But happy or safe?" Alex asked softly. "What do you mean?" Alex's mouth opened. He wanted to shout everything, but he stopped himself. "Nothing," he said. "It's fine." Mr. Stone sighed. "Alex, I know this isn't easy for you, but I want us to be a family again. Don't fight it." Alex nodded and left the room, tears already forming in his eyes. 2 days before the wedding, Alex sat on his bedroom floor, playing the recordings over and over. The evidence was overwhelming. He copied both recordings onto his father's laptop and emailed them to himself as backup. She can delete the phone, he thought, but she can't delete the truth. That night, Alex lay awake with a plan forming in his mind. If Sarah dared to give his dad any suspicious drink at the wedding, he would stop the ceremony himself. Even if everyone laughed at him, even if no one believed him initially, even if they dragged him out in front of the crowd, he would do it. The night before the wedding, Alex whispered into the darkness. "Mom, please help me. I'm scared, but I can't let her hurt Dad." Tomorrow, his father would be standing at the altar, ready to drink poison disguised as love. But Alex would be ready too. And this time, he wasn't going to whisper his concerns. He was going to speak loud enough for everyone to hear. The wedding morning arrived with fanfare. Loud music blasted from rented speakers, and guests were already arriving in their polished cars. Decorations hung everywhere. White ribbons, yellow flowers, and balloons dancing in the breeze. Alex stood by his bedroom window, looking down at the activity in their backyard. His heart was heavy, but his mind was sharp. Everything looked beautiful, everyone appeared happy, but Alex knew the sinister truth hiding behind all the smiles. He got dressed slowly, black slacks, white dress shirt, perfectly ironed. As he buttoned his shirt, his fingers trembled slightly. He tried to calm down, but his chest felt tight with anxiety. Alex looked at the flash drive on his desk containing the recordings, photos, and evidence he'd gathered. He tucked it into his pocket, then grabbed the suspicious wine bottle he'd hidden and placed it carefully in a sealed bag inside his backpack. Today wasn't just about attending a wedding. He was walking into what felt like a battlefield. "Alex, come downstairs. Time for family pictures," someone shouted from below. As he descended the stairs, his eyes met Sarah's. She stood near the entrance in an elegant white and gold dress, her makeup flawless. Her lips curved into what looked like a perfect smile. "Don't you look handsome?" she said sweetly. Alex didn't respond. He looked away and joined his father, who was already posing with guests for photos. Mr. Stone looked excited in his brown suit, his face glowing with happiness as he held Alex by the shoulder. "Smile for the camera, son," he said. Alex forced a small smile, but inside he was shaking with nervous energy. Soon the backyard filled completely with guests. Laughter, chatter, and music filled the air. Women wore colorful traditional attire, men clapped and danced, children ran around with balloons. Everyone was happy. Everyone except Alex, who kept watching Sarah's every move, especially around the drinks table. At the far end of the yard, a large tent had been set up with chairs arranged in rows. At the front, a small stage held 2 white chairs for the bride and groom. The officiating minister stood nearby, flipping through his book while ushers helped guests find their seats. Then came the moment everyone had been waiting for. The MC grabbed the microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the bride and groom." Cheers and applause erupted as Mr. Stone and Sarah walked hand in hand, waving at the crowd. Phones rose in the air, cameras flashed, and they made their way to the front, both beaming with apparent joy. Alex followed quietly behind them, his hands in his pockets, gripping the flash drive tightly. The crowd settled as the minister took the microphone. "We are gathered here today to witness the joining of Ryan and Sarah in holy matrimony." More applause filled the air. The minister continued speaking, but Alex wasn't listening. His eyes were locked on the drinks table at the side of the stage, where a waiter had just placed 2 wine glasses on a silver tray. One contained red wine, the other a lighter-colored liquid. Sarah glanced toward the glasses and whispered something to the waiter. He nodded and stepped away. Alex's eyes followed that lighter glass. Something was definitely wrong with it. The minister continued, "If there is anyone here who has any reason why these two should not be joined in matrimony, speak now or forever hold your peace." Silence fell over the crowd. Everyone looked around, smiling expectantly. No one moved. Alex's heart pounded so hard he could hear it in his ears. He opened his mouth slightly, then closed it again. Not yet. He needed to wait for the right moment. The ceremony proceeded with the exchange of vows. Mr. Stone spoke first, gazing lovingly at Sarah. "I promise to love you, care for you, and protect you for as long as I live." People applauded warmly. Then Sarah spoke, her voice sweet and convincing. "I promise to stand by you and make your home my home, your joy my joy, your dreams my dreams." Tears filled some guests' eyes. "She's so sweet," someone whispered, but Alex's stomach churned. All he could hear were lies wrapped in beautiful words. Finally, the minister announced, "Before we proceed with the rings, the bride has requested to perform a special unity toast with the groom, a symbol of their eternal love and commitment to each other." Alex's head snapped up. This was it. The moment he'd been dreading and preparing for. Sarah picked up the lighter-colored drink from the tray, holding it delicately with both hands. "This drink," she said softly into her microphone, "represents our pure love. It's sweet, precious, and powerful. I want to share it with the man who has captured my heart completely." She smiled radiantly at Mr. Stone and extended the glass toward him. The crowd cheered and applauded as Mr. Stone reached for it, his face full of love and trust. Alex watched his father's hand close around the glass. Mr. Stone raised it toward his lips, about to take what could be his final drink. "Dad, stop." Alex's voice cut through the air like a knife. Complete silence fell over the wedding. Every head turned toward him. Gasps echoed throughout the crowd as Alex stepped forward, his young voice carrying across the entire gathering. "Don't drink that, Dad. Please. That wine is poisoned. The moment of truth has arrived." What will happen when Alex makes his shocking accusation? Smash that like button if you're on the edge of your seat, and subscribe immediately for Chapter 4 where the real drama unfolds. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss the explosive continuation. The wedding guests stared in stunned silence. Whispers began rippling through the crowd as Alex walked quickly toward the stage, his heart racing but his resolve unwavering. "Alex, what are you saying?" his father asked, confusion written all over his face. Sarah froze, her perfect smile vanishing instantly. "Emma, that's not funny," she said, forcing a nervous laugh. "I'm not joking," Alex shouted, his young voice carrying across the entire gathering. "I have proof." He pulled the flash drive from his pocket and held it up for everyone to see. "I recorded her phone calls. I tested that wine," she said. "Once he drinks it, everything will be mine." She said it herself. "Alex, stop this madness," Mr. Stone said firmly. "This is a wedding, not some movie." But Alex was shaking now, adrenaline coursing through his veins. He pulled the paper bag from his backpack and held up the wine bottle he'd taken. "This is what she ordered for today. It's not normal wine. I had it tested. There's a dangerous chemical in it." He looked directly at his father, tears streaming down his face. "Please, Dad, please believe me this time." The crowd was no longer laughing or whispering. Many guests had stood up from their seats, sensing something serious was happening. A woman in the back called out, "Let him play the recording." Yes, let's hear it, another guest demanded. Alex handed the flash drive to the MC, who looked uncertainly between Alex, Mr. Stone, and Sarah before plugging it into the sound system. Everyone waited in tense silence. Then Sarah's voice filled the air through the speakers, crystal clear and undeniable. Once he drinks it, everything will be ours. Yes, I've already prepared it. Don't mess this up. The second recording played immediately after. I'm the one marrying him, not you. Don't call me again at night. You'll ruin everything. The wedding venue went completely silent. You could have heard a pin drop. Then the whispers started again, louder this time. She really said that. She planned this whole thing. She was working with someone else. All eyes turned to Sarah, who had gone pale and was visibly shaking. She suddenly dropped her bouquet and took a step backward. Mr. Stone stared at her in disbelief. Sarah, is this true? She opened her mouth, closed it, then tried to force another smile. Honey, I can explain. This is all just. No. Alex stepped protectively in front of his father. No, Dad. She can't explain poisoning you. She almost killed you today. Mr. Stone looked physically ill. He slowly sank into the chair behind him, the untouched glass still in his hand. The minister backed away from the stage entirely. Sarah began moving backward through the crowd. This is ridiculous. You're all crazy if you believe a child over me. Stop her, someone yelled from the crowd. Sarah turned and tried to run, but she was wearing a tight wedding dress and heels. A guest in the front row, a large man in a brown suit, stepped into her path. She tried to push past him, but he grabbed her arm firmly. Let me go, she screamed, struggling against his grip. You don't understand. Call the police, a woman shouted. This woman is a criminal. Multiple guests were already pulling out their phones. Mr. Stone stood up slowly, his hands trembling as the reality of what had almost happened sank in. Someone please call 911, he said quietly, his voice barely audible. Within minutes, sirens wailed in the distance. 2 police cars pulled up to the house, and officers hurried into the backyard. They quickly assessed the situation and handcuffed Sarah, who was now crying and shouting desperately. He forced me to do it. It wasn't my idea. I swear, she screamed as they led her toward the police car. Who's he? Officer Martinez asked. Sarah suddenly went quiet, realizing she'd said too much. The lead officer turned to Mr. Stone. Sir, do you want to press charges? Mr. Stone looked at Sarah, then at Alex, who stood beside him with tears in his eyes but his head held high. He nodded slowly. Yes. Take her away. As the police car drove off with Sarah in the back seat, the wedding guests remained in shocked silence. The celebration was over, but more importantly, a life had been saved. All because a 13-year-old boy had refused to stay quiet. Mr. Stone sat down heavily in his chair, burying his face in his hands. Alex stood beside him, unsure what to say after everything that had just happened. Finally, Mr. Stone lifted his head and looked at his son with tears in his eyes. I'm sorry, he said softly. I should have listened to you. Alex's voice cracked as he replied. I didn't want to ruin your wedding day, Dad. I just wanted to save your life. Mr. Stone pulled his son into a tight embrace. You did save my life, Alex. That's all that matters now. As the guests gradually began to leave, many stopped to tell Alex how brave he had been. But Alex didn't feel like a hero. He felt exhausted and sad that something so evil had almost succeeded in destroying their family. The decorations still hung in the trees, the flowers still sat on the tables, but the joy was gone. In its place was the sobering reality of how close they had come to tragedy, and the profound relief that truth had prevailed. The police station was buzzing with activity as Detective Lisa Park led the investigation into what the media was already calling the wedding day poison plot. Alex sat in a comfortable chair in the detective's office, his father beside him, as they went through the evidence he had so carefully gathered. Alex, Detective Park said with genuine admiration in her voice. What you did took incredible courage. Most adults wouldn't have been able to handle this situation as well as you did. Alex looked down at his hands. I just couldn't let her hurt my dad. Detective Park smiled warmly. Your recordings are going to be crucial evidence. We've also had the wine tested by our lab, and you were absolutely right. It contained a dangerous sedative called rohypnol, mixed with other substances. In the amount that was in that bottle, it could have been fatal. Mr. Stone closed his eyes and shook his head. She really was trying to kill me. We believe so, the detective confirmed. But we also think she wasn't working alone. In the recordings, she mentions someone else. We've been analyzing her phone records and found she was in contact with a man named Chuck Williams. I've never heard that name, Mr. Stone said. We traced his location to a motel across town. We picked him up this morning. Alex sat up straighter. Did he confess? Detective Park nodded. Once we played him the recordings and showed him the evidence, he broke down. Apparently, he and Sarah have been running this kind of scam for years. They target wealthy widowers, Sarah seduces them, and then they either rob them or, in more extreme cases like this one, eliminate them entirely. How many other people have they hurt? Mr. Stone asked quietly. We're still investigating, but we think you would have been their fourth victim. The other 3 men survived, but they lost significant amounts of money and property. Alex felt a chill run down his spine. What if I hadn't spoken up? We don't need to think about that, Mr. Stone said, putting his arm around his son. You did speak up, and that made all the difference. 3 weeks later, the trial began. The courtroom was packed with reporters and curious onlookers who had followed the story in the news. Alex sat in the front row with his father, watching as Sarah and Chuck were brought in wearing orange jumpsuits and handcuffs. When it came time for Alex to testify, he walked to the witness stand with confidence. He told his story clearly and calmly, explaining how he had noticed Sarah's suspicious behavior and decided to gather evidence. What made you think to record her phone calls? The prosecutor asked. She always seemed fake to me, Alex replied. Like she was acting all the time. And when I heard her talking about giving my dad something to drink, I knew I had to find out what she was really planning. The defense attorney tried to suggest that Alex had misunderstood what he heard, but the recordings spoke for themselves. When they were played in court, several jury members gasped audibly. Sarah took the stand in her own defense, claiming she had been manipulated by Chuck and never intended to actually hurt anyone. But when Chuck testified, he told a different story, saying the whole plan had been Sarah's idea from the beginning. She's the one who said we needed to go further this time, Chuck stated. She's the one who got the drugs and planned the whole wedding scenario. The jury deliberated for only 2 hours before returning with their verdict. Guilty on all counts of attempted murder, conspiracy, and fraud. Sarah received a sentence of 25 years in prison. Chuck, as the repeat offender and supplier of the poison, got 30 years. As the judge read the sentences, Alex felt a mixture of satisfaction and sadness. Justice had been served, but it was still hard to believe how close they had come to disaster. Outside the courthouse, reporters crowded around Alex and his father. Alex, what do you want to say to other kids who might be in similar situations? Alex thought for a moment before answering. Trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, don't ignore it just because adults tell you to. And don't be afraid to speak up, even when it's hard. Mr. Stone, how do you feel about your son's actions? I'm incredibly proud of him, Mr. Stone replied, his voice filled with emotion. He saved my life, and I will never forget that. I've learned to listen to him more carefully, and I'll never dismiss his concerns again. 6 months later, life had returned to a new normal for Alex and his father. The construction business was thriving, and their relationship had grown stronger through the ordeal. They had both started seeing a counselor to help process what they had been through. One evening, as they sat in their living room watching a movie together, Mr. Stone turned to his son. Alex, I want you to know that I'm not planning to date anyone for a long time, he said. But when I do, I promise you'll be involved in that decision from the beginning. Alex smiled. Thanks, Dad. But don't let what happened with Sarah stop you from finding happiness someday. Just, maybe let's do some background checks next time. Mr. Stone laughed. The first genuine laugh Alex had heard from him in months. Deal. You're going to make an excellent private investigator someday if you want to. I think I'd rather be a police detective, Alex said thoughtfully. Like Detective Park. I want to help people who can't help themselves. I think you'd be great at that, his father agreed. As the months passed, Alex received several awards for his bravery, including recognition from the mayor and the police department. But the reward he treasured most was a simple thank you letter from one of Sarah and Chuck's previous victims, an elderly man who had lost his life savings to their scam. Your courage inspired me to come forward and testify, the letter read. Because of you, I might get some of my money back, and more importantly, these criminals can't hurt anyone else. Alex kept that letter in a frame on his desk as a reminder that sometimes the most important thing you can do is refuse to stay silent. The house felt like home again. The garden bloomed with new flowers, laughter echoed through the halls, and the dark shadow that Sarah had cast over their lives was finally gone. Alex had learned that being young didn't mean being powerless, and that sometimes the smallest voice can make the biggest difference. 1 year after the wedding that never was, Alex was preparing for high school. He had grown taller and more confident, but he still possessed the same keen observation skills that had saved his father's life. As he looked through his bedroom window at the garden where the wedding decorations had once hung, Alex reflected on everything that had happened. He had stopped a murder, helped put criminals behind bars, and most importantly, kept his family safe. Sometimes people asked him if he regretted speaking up, since it had caused so much drama and publicity. Alex always gave the same answer: I'd rather be known as the kid who stopped a wedding than the kid who lost his father. And in the end, that's what mattered most. That love, truth, and courage had won the day. What an incredible story of bravery and family love. If this story inspired you, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more amazing true-to-life stories. Share this video with anyone who needs to hear that their voice matters, no matter how young they are. Ring the notification bell so you never miss our inspiring content, and let us know in the comments what you thought of Alex's incredible courage. Thanks for watching, and remember, sometimes the quietest voices save the loudest lives.